Hello and welcome to the Juggling podcast, the podcast for the Patreon supporters and everybody else, because I just put it out free for everyone to listen to. My name is Luke Burridge, and joining me today is Juliana.
Hello, everyone.
And this is our December podcast / late November podcast.
I have lost track so
I've
bad.
lost track. I wanted to do 2 more podcasts by the end of the year. We might be lucky to get that way because of plans and changing plans and work and changing work plans.
Massive change of plans.
But let's just get on to it. First of all, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters, and then we'll talk about some little updates and get onto today's topic. So
Okay.
let's thank our top Patreon supporters of Marshall and Chris and Sid and Flo and I moved the window. Matt and Joel and Hendrik and Bethany and Callie and Danny and Juliana Kunzendorf. You still support me on Patreon?
I do.
And Statist27 and Kathy and Michael and Yuli and Keith and Mark and Jeremy and the other Mark, the mysterious Mark. Then David, Tom, and Pierre and lots of other people who are supporting merely at the $1 / £1 / €1 / $1 Singaporean dollar level, whatever it is.
Cool.
And
that's also really
I thank
great.
you as a group rather
Yes.
than individually. But everyone else I thank individually. Everyone is at the higher rate of support. So thank you very much. If this is the last podcast of the year, because it is December,
Yes.
I want to say a huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters for all of your support throughout the year.
Yeah.
It has been a fantastic amount of support and motivation. Again, there's only, I think now 52 people who are supporting us financially, plus lots of other free members or whatever.
Yeah.
But it does make a big difference. Again, financially, we'd be okay without it, but it does mean that we can just spend money on juggling projects. For example, Fight Night Combat Finals, which are coming up next week, this weekend in Bremen. I can just pay for that kind of stuff, like to bring people there, help pay for the travel for people who are coming internationally, food costs and other costs for all of the invited jugglers and stuff. Completely rewrote the Fight Night Combat website from scratch, all of these other kinds of things, which are motivation and financial help just means that you can all go into that, plus the other juggling projects that we've done, trips and other things we've organized. What else have we done? Like the Your Time to Shine competition, which I wanted to do another one of those this year, but it turns out it's just too busy. That's like, again, another part-time job, just organizing competitions to give away cool prizes. But hopefully early next year.
Yeah, and you also we didn't expect you to be this busy then work-wise again. So it's always like a surprise. Sometimes we plan something and then it just doesn't work out.
Well, I leave my diary open, and sometimes you leave your diary open and work doesn't come in, and you're like, great. 2 months off over, whatever it is. Like, I'll have all of January off and all of February off and all of March off, and then I'll start getting back to work. And that's fantastic for working on projects. But sometimes you leave your diary open and then they say, oh, here's some work and here's some other work and here's some other work. And then a friend cancels a gig and asks you to step in and take another gig at last minute. And you're like, all right.
And
okay.
also, hey, this is a bundle. You take it or leave it.
Yeah, there's another thing that happened as well. They're like, right, we've got these 5 weeks of work for you spread out through the year. And I'm like, not that date. And they're like, well, they want it all or nothing. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Also, I think what also the Patreon also contributed to was the 3D printing projects.
We'll get onto that as well.
Yeah, but you just counted up all the things and I just remembered.
I was talking about things that we were organizing for other people as well, if you know what I mean. So what I'm trying to say is you're not just supporting me and my projects, you're also helping to support
the community,
projects which hopefully benefit the wider community.
Yes, that other people certainly enjoy taking part in.
Yes, of course. So again, thank you to all our Patreon supporters. Quick update, which is the main update is Top 40 Jugglers will begin once I have the voting and stuff will begin once we get past the end of year Fight Night Combat finals, which are taking place in Bremen, which are being organized by Killian and Wiebke and Paula.
Yes.
So they're organizing all like the venue and stuff. Of course, when we get there, I'll be organizing the competitions and running stuff as well, because I didn't qualify this year for the end of year finals.
You didn't take part in enough tournaments, did you?
Well, also I didn't win. I didn't do very well in the tournaments that I took part started. I mean, I got to the round of 16 at the EJC.
Yeah, but I think that is like in the context of who is playing now. I think that is
but if I'd have gone to some smaller convention, if I'd have gone to the NJF and the EJC and like one other small convention, I probably would have qualified. But I'm not even close. However, there is a wildcard tournament. And last time there was a wildcard tournament, which was kind of this last minute thing because somebody couldn't turn up, and we're like, right, we've got enough people here to have a good tournament to see who can get in, and we had like the top ranked people. Jochen was ill, so he couldn't come over. But there was like Owen was the next in the rankings, and Wiebke was the next in the rankings, and I was the next. Like there was a clump of us all ranked like 10 or 9 to whatever it is.
And then you could just battle it out.
And so we decided to battle it out. And I thought that would be a one-off, but then Killian was like, let's do the wildcard tournament again, because it gives people who haven't qualified a reason to go there, and it gives them a fun thing to take part. And it'll just be a small tournament, like I think it was like a 125 or a 250 tournament last time out. So
nice.
Who knows? Maybe I will qualify for the end of year finals as a wildcard in the wildcard tournament.
Fingers are crossed.
Fingers crossed. But also, I kind of just want to organise it, because every time, this is the first one I've not qualified for, and again, I've kind of found the joy in not qualifying or not taking part and just organising. So let's see how it goes. But I'm not going to not take part in the wildcard.
Of course you're going to take part.
So let's talk about the Flash 30 project. So this project started at the beginning of the year, in January, whenever it was. And the point of this was to test out various things. Oh, and just to say the timeline is that it started once I finished up the top 40 jugglers of 2024. You remember?
Yes.
I wrapped all that up, posted the final things, and then I guess if you actually looked at my Instagram, which probably is what I should have done here, just because I should have brought this up because I wanted to kind of look at some numbers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's go to, if I bring up the Instagram and go to my...
your
timeline,
your
I go to Reels, and if I make it big, we can get a lot on the page. How do I make it big? Just drag it up there like that. So if we go back to the beginning of the year, the top 40 jugglers finished up. What was that? That's around about 18th of January. Oh yes, because I got some gigs over Christmas and New Year, so I started the rundown in January. So that's what happened there. So then I started off and started posting Instagram things with the idea that it would run through until December. Or whatever would, if I managed to get the goal, it might have ended early, but the idea was that it would run through.
When was the first video you posted then? The 8 clubs, 10 rings, 12 balls.
It was 27th of January. So January,
straight away.
With the idea being that it would run up until the time that I would do the next top 40 jugglers of the year. In other words,
makes sense.
End of year finals for Fight Night Combat, beginning of December, and then I'm going to be too busy to. Maybe even too busy to juggle, who knows? But definitely too busy to work on all this kind of stuff. So that's the kind of time frame that I had with the project is it was like multifaceted. One, we talked about this last year when we were talking about things like personal goals. We talked about goal setting. You've got to have something with most an 18-month long time span. A year is good. 6 months is really good. But if you plan anything for more than 18 months, your life can change so much in that time that it's like this time horizon which you just never reach. An 18-month kind of thing. So we did episodes about
and that then if it is longer, it needs to be so adjustable that it still fits.
And also, you need to have contracts in place. No, honestly, I'm talking about that. If you've got a long-term thing, so in 3 years' time, I'm still going to be doing that. Well, let's put that down in writing and make sure you get paid for it. So, so we talked a bit. I'm just thinking back, different episodes of the juggling podcast that we did. We also talked about numbers juggling. We talked about friendly rivalries, which is a good thing of sort of when we're talking about the top club jugglers and Spencer versus Ivan in terms of WJF kind of stuff, people pushing each other to do stuff, and then the numbers juggling league and all of that kind of stuff. We also did an episode last year, probably last September, October, called social media projects, and we
social media challenges.
We're talking about Trick a Day May and people who had done these long term one trick. Was it the 100 tricks, and then a max doing like 100 catches of 100 different 6-ball side swaps and then doing it again with 7 side swaps. Yeah, we talked about all of these different kind of things, like social media projects. And I mentioned in that next year, or I want to do something like this, what would be the project?
Yeah.
Then I found the inspiration, or one of the bit of inspirations was wanting to make stuff and contribute stuff in terms of like 3D printing and design.
Yeah.
And I've got like, well, I could buy a 3D printer and make my magnet machine a bit better, so it's like less built out of stuff screwed together, like a little bit, like do a bit more designy stuff. I was thinking, well, I could invent new props. But I've never really found sort of like inventing a new prop that interesting, because I think, like with the juggling props that we have, we're kind of almost at those like platonic ideal shapes, which have evolved over the years to be like, oh, right, rings are this size and you do this kind of thing. Balls can be all kinds of stuff, and clubs are very much like this. So I didn't just want to make a different shaped club. I wanted to have another thing to do, if I bought myself a 3D printer, which it was just a matter of time that was going to happen.
Absolutely. I knew it was going to happen.
And then, I wanted to do numbers juggling because I finally want to get 12 balls, and I wanted to kind of bundle in me getting 12 balls with a bigger project, so it isn't just a goal hanging out there to get 12 balls on video, because I did it once in 2003, and I'm like, I wanted to, remember I had that goal, I want to do it within 20 years of the last time I'd done it, and then I'm like, well, I'm going to tie this into the numbers juggling league, and I want to try and do well in the numbers juggling league, and all of these would last until about February or, March, and then I would like lose motivation, and then have difficulty keeping the 12-ball flash to flash 12 balls again and get it on video for the first time in 22, 23 years or whatever it's going to come up to. And so I thought, well, I'll tie that into a larger project. And I thought, well, I'll just, go up one number with balls, because I did 11 balls last year. I did 7 clubs. I did 9 rings last year. And I was like, well, let's increase all of those by 1. And that
just
came up with
very good topic, very good idea.
And I came up with
really
the title of Flash 30.
Yeah,
and,
very catchy.
Yeah, Flash 30, that's the project overall. And also this was kind of inspired, although not like I wanted to do a project like this, but then Ivan put out a video of him saying, I've now got the overall record of the highest number of balls plus rings plus clubs of flashes ever. And I think the previous person got like, I think it would have been 31, and he reached 31.
Yeah.
And then he'd already got 9 clubs, and so all he needed to do was go from 11 rings to 12 rings and 11 balls to 12 balls, and he set himself this long goal. It was sort of like a 6-year goal from beginning to end of him to be able to get. So then combined is 33. And I was like, well, I'm not going to try and do that in a year, but let's try and get Flash 30. Let's fly
Which
Flash
is
30.
A very good goal. So it's something that is reasonably possible to achieve.
A little kind of immediate, like, personal challenge was, instead of just being like, oh, I'm just going to try 8 clubs right away and just go for it, and I'm just going to try 10 rings right away and just go for it. I didn't want to leave the obvious hardest one, which was going to be 12 balls. I didn't want to leave that dangling there, like just sort of like tick off one, tick off the other, and then leave 12 balls and then lose motivation. So I tried putting in place this thing which is like, I'm only going to try to actually do the 8 clubs and the 10 rings when I feel like I could probably get 12 balls, with the idea being that I'll hold them back and I'll be ready to do them, and I've already done them and I've practiced every single bit along the way to be actually get to the point where I could do them. Yeah. And then as soon as I get the 12 balls, I'll just do the 8 clubs and do the 10 rings. So the idea is, one of the initial kind of challenges that I set to myself is, could I do them all on the same day? Yeah. So the first day that I ever do 12 balls, I'll just try 8 clubs and try 10 rings. Yes. And do that. And so that's kind of the way it started off. Yeah. So that's kind of the whole setup and the plan that I had at the start. And now let's talk about the journey, shall we? Or do you want to say anything more about the plan that I had? Yeah,
I quite like the idea of reversing it difficulty-wise, so that you're not approaching it from the bottom up, but from the top down, basically. Yeah. Saying that, I want to approach the hardest thing first, and then reward myself with the other things.
Yeah, and that's what it was, and that's
right?
the kind of thing that I was talking about, and as I was going through. So I'm going to put aside like the Instagram and storytelling part, like of how I was telling the story, unless it's relevant. But let's go into the juggling.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Yeah. But aside from that, do you have an overview of how many videos you have dedicated to that project?
Oh, yes. I have a very, very clear thing because I brought them all up here. I loaded them all up on my computer here. So I have in total 57 video clips.
Okay.
Which are kind of like edited, narrated, or to the camera, just to the camera, subtitle clips. I think there might be one or two which are just like a little bit more. Oh, and actually, no, that's not true because this only goes up to 9-wing endurance. Was there one more? No, that is the most recent one.
Yeah, I think so.
This one trying 10 rings here.
Yeah.
So because the more recent ones was the videos that I made was the Gatto hamster ball video, and then Maho Beach. So I was like, I just posted one the other day, but it isn't actually a Flash 30.
Not rod related. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so 50. What did I say? 50.
Yeah, so like 57 videos. And you can see they're actually numbered as well, although they're not like, they're numbered up to 61 because there's quite a few video projects which I was working on that had a number in the editor, in the editing program, in Final Cut, in like as a folder, as a number, a project that I was working on, and then those didn't get put up or those didn't get posted.
Happens.
And I still have maybe 10 video idea projects or stuff that I was videoing that I could have shared.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, now we're here. Let's talk about some of the things that I learned about the Instagramming of it.
Yeah, because I find that really fascinating and interesting.
Let's do that, and then we'll get back to let's cover how I covered the journey, and then let's get back to the journey. So one of the on top of that, we also did a podcast, and then I did like 3 or 4 deep dive videos where I did talking about club design, ring design, and other bits and some technique stuff as well.
Yeah.
So what do I want to say about this? Yeah, so the meta part, pun not intended, because Instagram is owned by Facebook, which is called Meta. So either way, that part of it I have really enjoyed, and I've felt like I've learned a lot. But I think what I learned is that I learned something's good and something's bad.
Okay.
What I learned is that I hate the Instagram algorithm, because I just want to put up a video and have I've now got about just under 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm like, well, I put that up there and that should be it, and everyone will see it. But of course that isn't what happens.
Nope.
And then some of the videos get, 150,000 views, and some of them get 3,000 views. Yes. And I'm like, what is it about me hitting myself in the face with a ring or talking about what is it, type 2 fun or whatever it is? Yeah. And suddenly those ones really spark off, and I get lots of good comments about it. And again, the feedback has been really fun. The comments on the videos is all really good fun. But what it makes me feel like, and I think this is kind of like the trap that people will get into if you make stuff for Instagram specifically, or make stuff for Instagram Reels specifically, is if something does well, you're like, well, how do I do another one which does that as well?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but I'm not doing that because I want to tell the stories that I want to tell.
Yeah.
And I felt like I've got really good at telling a 50-second to 1 minute 20-second story where I'm doing something, and as I'm juggling, I'm thinking if I do this, well, let me just make sure I get that one other view, or maybe make sure that I say this to the camera, or once I have something, I'll know how I'll do that. And so I felt like I got really good at just finding stories, mini stories, because there's one overall story is, can I flash 30? And if the answer to that is yes, and I do it in March or whatever, it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
And if the story is no, and I made 2 or 3 videos which are sort of I could just tell you that I keep failing at 12 balls, but that's not interesting. And another one is I didn't want to do this, and now
I failed again.
And now I'm failing at beforehand I could have only showed you videos of me failing at 12 balls, but now I can also just show you lots of videos of me failing at 11 rings. So how do I tell? I don't know how long it'll take me to get 11 rings, and there's not really any updates from whenever I decide to start working on 11 rings until I get the 11 rings. What is the story that I have? Right, I've built the props, I've built a new holster. Everything's ready to go. And I've shared everything that I possibly can about like training and all that kind of stuff. And now I've just got lots of footage of me failing. And it gets to the point where, well, how can that now be the story?
Turned into the story. Yeah.
How can that be the story?
Constantly directing yourself. So like while you're doing the thing, you do the thing, and at the same time you think about the cinematography, you're thinking about the staging, you're thinking about the storytelling, and then
it's not like as I'm thinking about it, it's just like it's not like I'm actively thinking about that. Like I'm not constructing a story about that.
No, but while you're doing it, it comes to you that that could be the direction of the story.
Well, I've just got enough clips, and then I go, okay, what's actually just happened here, and how can I communicate what I'm thinking about as I do this? Right. So it always comes from what I'm thinking about.
Okay, and what you're doing, because then it's not scripted, as in that you, in the morning, you set yourself down, and then you script down, okay, what could happen today? I could fail a lot, so I'm going to make a video about that.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting.
Every time I was going into 11 rings, I was hoping that would be the day that I wouldn't fail,
Of course. But I think it's interesting to say this, because often what I imagine people who use Instagram a lot for these kind of purposes, what they would do is they would actually write a little a script or something that they would then act out or do or make happen, And so I think it is quite interesting to let the story unfold itself. And then you're just gathering up the things.
Yeah, but again, it just comes down to being treating each one as there's the overall story, which is like the year-long story of the overall project.
Yeah,
and that I have endless things that I could talk about. That's kind of what this podcast is about. But I'm just saying what I learned from the feedback that Instagram gave me is that it didn't actually matter how much work I was putting into this. Like, I was getting better at it. I feel like I've got a lot better at it, of putting titles on stuff and knowing the length and kind of what the pacing and how much to show replays or what to start off with, Yeah. But there's no strong signal there's nothing to learn from any of those, which then tells me which is the one that's going to get 100,000 views and which one's going to get 3,000 views.
Yeah, I don't think you could take that as your main feedback of, this is working well or this is working not well.
No, I
because
can't.
it's utterly random in ways, and also then I don't think that's what people want. I think people want you to do your thing, and then. I mean, Instagram is kind of messing it up in a way, but I don't think it would be healthy to concentrate on, this video did well, now I'm only going to do
I'm only going to do that kind
again.
of stuff. Because I know that I can do that. I know it's weird to say this, but I know that I can do that, because my most viewed video this year is of me making a 3D printed fingertip with a bearing in it to be able to do Francis Brun's tricks quick enough. That's got like 500,000 views now. I guess I can find it pretty quick because I know what this looks like. So that's at 472,000 views. And I was like, I've actually got another little story that I can tell, which is this Anthony Gatto hamster ball thing, which I've already done a YouTube video about. We did lots of series about hamster balls and learning that trick and things. But that Francis Brun fingertippy spinny thing started off as a 5-minute YouTube video. Yeah. And I was like, that's a good 5-minute YouTube video. But if I now edit that 5-minute YouTube video down to a 1-minute Instagram clip, that's obviously just going to be better. Yeah. And it's almost at 500,000 views. Yeah. And I felt like that's what I did here. I was like, I've got like a fun thing where I set up and I show somebody else juggling, like that. This is the format that I had in my head, in the same way that I showed Francis Brun juggling, and then me trying the same thing, and then an invention that I did, and then showing me the success of that invention.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's a great 1-minute story, and that's what I did. And now that video has got 124,000 views, which means it's in my top 10 videos of the year, and I put out lots of videos this year. So it's like one of those things I was like, and I've probably got another one, like my magnetic cigar boxes. I could do exactly the same thing. Here's Chris Cremo doing a trick. I wanted to learn that trick to do it on stage. The twist, I put magnets in the cigar boxes as a training device. So it's like having, like stabilizer wheels, what they call them, training wheels on a bike. Yeah. And then once I'd learned it with the magnets, I could then perform it without the magnets.
Yeah, because you get the confidence.
Because
and
I got the confidence.
Timing.
I was like, all I'm doing is learning the timing with this thing, and I can still work my way up the trick with the magnets to train it, and then when I do it on stage, I just don't work. I don't align the magnets properly, and I just know that, like, oh, I could do that one, and that would definitely if I put that on if I made that video on you for Instagram, put it up, I'd be really surprised if it got less than 100,000 views and went widely outside of
fits
Jugglers.
in this format.
So I know there is a format, but when I'm telling a story that I want to tell, which is Flash 30, can I do this numbers juggling project?
Yeah.
There's some things which I know will work and some things which I won't work, but I've got to then do a harder job of just like, what's it like to fail? So that's why I came up with this type 2 fun Wikipedia entry kind of thing.
Good. So just an outlook, like the year's coming to a close, the top 40s are starting soon.
How
many videos are we going to expect for the Flash 40?
Flash 40?
Flash.
I think I need to be doing those passing guys, like the fusion jugglers, whatever. Yes. So they could get up to 40 objects between the two of them.
No, Flash 30. So what's the outlook? What's the next steps for that one?
No, this is it. This is the end.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'll probably do like a video, like after I launch, maybe after I start the voting for the top 40 jugglers. Yeah. I might make another video like wrapping up the Flash 30.
Okay, and then
or maybe I'll wrap it up beforehand.
And then that's it, and you're not going to continue, or you're going to still for the 18 months?
You have now managed to jump over all of the stuff, all of my notes, which I wanted to talk about, which is actually the juggling journey.
Right.
I was gonna get to my future plans at the end of the podcast. I was also going to get to do all this Instagram chat, Instagram storytelling chat.
Right. If I don't know your notes at the beginning,
we just did a much bigger diversion than I was expecting. So okay, let's get back to the journey.
Yes.
So the journey started off good. I felt progress straight away. I was like, I can do 8 clubs in one hand. No, sorry, I can do 4 clubs in one hand and probably learn 4 clubs in the other hand.
Yeah.
And same with the rings, with the different, the
different holsters,
the holsters and stuff that I was working on. And then I was like, and the 12 balls, I've just got to get the 12 balls. So I just started training 6 in one hand and 6 in the other hand and doing this and doing that. And so the idea being, I'll work up and do this Flash 30 project. A month and a half, it turns out I reckon if I'd have just done 10 rings and just started training with the 10 rings, and actually if I'd have started with a ring holster that already worked, I would have been able to do the 10 rings within a few days, probably.
Yeah.
But I was wanting to take it slow because I wanted to do the storytelling kind of stuff.
Yes.
And
you wanted to give the 12 balls enough time.
And also I was working on the 12 balls and also working on the 8 clubs.
Yeah.
And once I'd worked on like the, the new club handles to make holding and launching 4 clubs in my left hand and 4 clubs in my right hand at the same time. Yeah, with the hyperboloid club. Once I'd got that, I realized, so what was actually getting to was that I was like, 10 rings is there, and I was doing it like I was getting 9 rings within like 4 or 5 attempts or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe sometimes a bit longer, a bit more, but it was like there, and I was like, I just need to do that with my left hand as well. And the same with the clubs. I was like testing out the launch, but it was getting to the point where I was like trying not to catch all of the 8 clubs.
Active avoidance.
It was like actively, and I was like, I'm getting to the point where if I just try it, I'd probably be able to get it. So I was like, I'm going to stop training that for now. And then it was all being held back with the 12 balls because I knew that the 12, and I kept trying the 12 balls.
You got really consistent with 11.
With what, 11?
11 balls.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No, I flashed 11 balls because one of the steps along the way was can I flash 27 in one day? So I wanted to do 7 clubs in the 8 club pattern, 9 rings in the 10 ring pattern, and then 11 balls in the 12 ball pattern, and that didn't work because it turns out I was already at the point where I should have just started trying 12 balls.
Right.
So when I actually did start doing 12 balls, so I did 11 balls a few times this year, but only shared it once on video. But no, what it was doing was that instead of it being an encouragement for me to try the 12 balls more, and then I'll be rewarded to be able to try 10 rings for real and 8 clubs for real, it just felt like I was punishing myself for not getting the 12 balls. And this was only like 6 weeks into the whole project.
Yeah.
And I was like, why does it feel like I'm punishing myself?
Yeah.
Like I was there and getting really discouraged because I could only really attempt 12 balls for maybe half an hour at a time before like my shoulder started hurting and it was like too much energy.
Yeah.
And 10 rings I could keep practicing for a long time because it just takes longer to reset, because if you're picking up the rings, it takes a while to collect them all up, and then it takes a while to like set them out in the ring holster. And the way, and because I was having gloves on, I couldn't reach down. I actually wanted to do I want to do maybe a video about this, is picking rings up, is that with the gloves on I couldn't just pick them up from the floor, so I had to use rings to scoop up the other rings, which means you've got to do them one by one or clump them together. So it was a lot less stressful, like in terms of like stress on my body, to do 8 clubs and 10 rings.
Yeah, of course.
So I was limited by how much I was, and then I was like trying to find things. I was like, well, let me make a new holster design for the rings, and let me make this thing here, and then try that. And so it felt like, oh, I'll wrap up 12 balls into this project, which will give me the motivation to do it. The motivation of like how difficult 12 balls was just killing me. So I was like, well, okay, now. And so I just I didn't book it out. I just went along to the Catapult training space, and I was like, today I'm just going to go for it, And I just went for it, and I got the 10 rings. And the 8 clubs.
Yes.
No. First, I was trying the 10 rings and it didn't work, and then I got the 8 clubs really quickly. Like,
and
after
then you did
a few minutes worth of trying 8 clubs, that I got it.
Yeah.
And then I worked out the catapult was closing, so then I thought, well, I'll just do it all in 24 hours. So I came back the next day, flashed 10 rings, and then I was like, right, now I've got like 5 hours to get 12 balls, and I tried it again until my brain started leaking out. I was like, well, I'm not enjoying this now because it's just too much work. So the whole getting it all within one day or in the same training space, or then my update, which is sort of like, no, let's try and do it within a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
It didn't work because it turns out just 12 balls is really, really hard. And I don't I enjoy the type 2 funness of it. Like I enjoy the struggle to get through it. But as a pursuit of itself, it didn't have any of the same like brain tickling stuff that I wasn't learning anything new. I was just trying to do it again.
Yeah.
And I've got very close for the last few years.
Yeah.
And again, I found these videos from me trying it in 2015, and there's probably videos from me trying it in 2013 and again in 2009, going all the way back there. It's just been something that I've just kept plugging away at, Last year, I had already made myself a new set of beanbags because the ones that I had before were literally 20-year-old numbers juggling, or maybe 17-year-old numbers juggling beanbags, which were disintegrating.
Falling apart.
And as I was juggling, the particles were just leaking out the seams, like the filling was leaking out the seams.
The former millet that was now just dust.
And the seams were coming apart, and the fabric was coming away. So like I'd already made myself a new set of beanbags, and there's just nothing. And again, I mentioned that in in one of those reels that I said, sort of like, and then Dan Wood at the EJC just flashed 12 of my beanbags. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. I just need to keep plugging away at 12 balls. So that's when I put in place sort of like, all right, I've done 2 out of the 3. While I'm still working on the third one, what other projects could I do? Like improve my 7 club personal best, which took literally like 3 training sessions, and I'd got back to the point. I was like, oh, all right, that only took like 3 hours of training. And then like, all right, now let's start working on 11 rings. And I tried it a bit with the previous holster and worked out that wasn't going to be working just because it was a bit, for 11 rings, then it was like, it was too much in the way and it was a bit clunky to travel with. So, and then, carrying on through, I got the 11 rings. No, I didn't get the 11 rings. Over the summer, I got enough better at 10 rings and 9 rings that when I started, I knew like, right, I now know the next step that I need is actually a better ring holster that I can travel with. Yeah. And so I'm not always like, that was the other thing as well that why I wanted to get the 8 clubs out the way, is that I didn't want to be carrying 8 clubs around. I don't want to carry 8 clubs around with me all the time.
It's a lot of clubs.
And so, that's the reason why as soon as I did 8 clubs, I was like, great, I've done that. And now, and I think I did it twice. I did it a second time. I'm like, right, now I've got 0 interest in doing that a third time.
And
Ivan
clubs.
was messaging me and was like, you could try it. But I'm like, I just don't travel. Like, I don't want to be carrying like 8 or 9 clubs because they're like, now 9 clubs. And then Kellen was like, when are you doing 9 clubs? I got 9. Yeah. All these different kind of conversations that I had. I'm just like, I just don't have any interest. Yeah. Like, because it's just too much stuff to carry. An extra ring is easy. It's like
Yeah.
an extra,
Flat.
like 2 millimeters
Yeah.
worth or whatever it is.
Yeah, clubs are really not very handy to travel
Yeah.
around with. You can't collapse them
And a set of
or deflate
yeah,
them.
that's what I said to Ivan. He was like, "Oh no, you should do it. Like you're getting close, you'll be fine." I was like, "Right, I'll first invent inflatable bodied juggling clubs, so they take up the same amount of
Or
space in
maybe
the air."
something you can unscrew and then put the top bit inside the other bit, so they become like just the body.
No,
Just like
that it wouldn't be strong enough. There's no way that any bit of plastic that's screwed together, it would last 3
Damn
or 4
it.
minutes.
I just had the idea.
So yes, so the juggling wise, oh no, so then it got to the summer, and then I started training 12 balls, and I was like, let's do this every day. So I was getting up, and I was heading over to a local, calisthenics park area.
Calisthenics.
What did I say?
Calisthenics.
Don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Calisthenics. And I was doing the 12 balls, and I would just head out on the bike in the mornings, because it was like nice weather in the mornings, nice and sunny.
You were quite consistent with that.
Get out there, and I was really enjoying that. But again, it just when the weather was good, it was possible. Like if it was raining or too windy or whatever. But I really enjoyed that over the summer. And then I was training 12 balls at the EJC, and then after the EJC, kept on doing it. And then I was taking the balls with me on these cruise ships, and I was like, right, if I get some time in the theatre and can train, it was good. It was all going well. And then right at the end of August, I turned around on a stage with a metal railing. I was on a stage above a swimming pool in the dome on a cruise ship, and a ball bounced.
It's not a good idea, is it?
And I reached back to grab a ball that was bouncing off the back of the stage, and I wanted to catch it before it went into the swimming pool, and I slammed my hand into a metal rail, like, the kind
like
of metal
separating
rails.
two fingers.
And I
apart.
bent 2 fingers one side and the other side, and it like really hurt. But I was like, well, it's not broken, because you just like I've broken my toe, I've broken my ribs, I've broken my nose. I know what it feels like to break something, because just moving or touching or like with a broken
or let's say break a bone.
Yeah, so I didn't break a bone, and I was like, I carried on, went through that show, did 8 shows in that 8 days on that cruise as well, and so it would have been 5 of the shows that I did were after that time on stage. And I just fucked up my hand again. Not a broken bone, but some kind of soft tissue damage. Tendon,
Let me tell you, any sort of ligament injury is by far worse than breaking a bone, because bones can actually heal together quite well.
Yeah. And also with a bone, you just kind of like strap it to, like you just strap your fingers together or whatever like that. So it turns out that
it was probably worse than
what?
Than it first seemed.
I thought, here's how I thought. Well, the bone's not broken, so how bad can it be? And it turns out
you can still
bad.
feel it.
So what this meant was that I just couldn't do 12, but I couldn't do ball juggling because any amount of pressure back, like again, I'm holding my hand up now. If you just hold your hand out
left
flat,
ring fingers,
yeah,
what you're
left
pointing
ring
at.
finger. If I push it back like that, that would be like really painful and be like, well, that's going to damage it, Club juggling, if anything went wrong with club juggling, it would bump in like this direction or that direction, any amount of shock or pressure, really, really bad pain. Again, and it wasn't broken bones, it was sort of like pushing something out the way. So I had to be good with that. The good thing about ring juggling, though, and this is how I could carry on the whole project and like not quit my job entirely. So I didn't do any ball juggling or any club juggling except during my shows on stage, which then you just get through on like adrenaline and bloody mindedness.
Yeah.
And
also, generally, it's not that long. Like, you're not doing it for an extended
And also,
period.
all of the juggling I can do pretty easily. Like, I'm not doing anything which is like, too difficult in my show with balls or clubs. It's all like just general juggling stuff. Ring juggling is really handy, is that when you're doing the catching with rings, the whole point is to do like the mitten hands kind of thing. So you don't want anything going between your fingers when you...
So you're pulling your fingers quite
all my
close
fingers
together.
And where does the impact happen when you juggle, when you're catching rings? It's all like in the palm of the hand, the web
which
between
for me
your
is also still quite painful. But
what's that? But I'm wearing gloves. So the ring's coming down. So I'm juggling lightweight 51-gram rings. Yeah. And they're all coming down and hitting a part which is gloves. And none of the pressure is going into there. And then also with the launching.
Sounds good.
When you actually grip rings, each ring is separated by a finger, But that means that the finger which is injured and the ligaments that are injured are actually being like held down, like held closely
more
to
in a
each other.
controlled manner.
Yeah, and then when you're actually doing the release, there's like one time when you're doing it. Anyway, that was not painful, no discomfort, and so it was just months went by.
So injury related, you focused more on rings.
No. Injury related, the 12-ball journey stopped dead cold.
Yes,
so
okay, that's it.
Since August, I thought, that'll be healed up in a few weeks. And it wasn't a few weeks. And then I'll be like, that'll be healed up in a month and a half. And it wasn't a month and a half. And then it's like 3 months later, I was like, should I try this? And then I tried a 12-ball session. And just with 12 balls, you're going, like, you throw all the balls, which was fine.
Yeah.
And then you go, grab. You see this grabbing motion?
Grabbing.
Like this fast grabbing motion with a, like, grab here, like that. And also when you're doing a catch, you kind of, like, the balls are coming down quite hard. And I was like, and I tried 12 balls, like, 4 or 5 times. And already I could feel this getting uncomfortable. And also when I tried ring juggling, club juggling. The first time I tried club juggling was at the end of October when we went to the Hamburg juggling convention.
Yes.
So that was like 2.5 months later, and I tried some club juggling, and it was fine when I was doing 3 clubs and low numbers. And then I tried I can't remember what I tried.
Crosses or something?
Yeah, I tried like 5 club back crosses, and I did 1 catch where the club hit there, and I'm like, oh no, that's going to be another month.
Yeah.
So that was it really. And now I have. Now it is a lot better. There was like that 3-month period where I'm like, is this ever going to heal? And then obviously something knitted back together in a way where I could do some juggling, and I'm like, actually, this is fine.
Good.
The only time it's hurt me now is when I picked up, those 5, like in my show, I do these big balls, these 10 centimeters across, and I picked up 3 in one hand, and then I was like, oh no, there's still like if
on the edges of
I spread out, and I think that'll just come because that's like right at the end. My hand's just not used to that at all at the moment. So the Flash 30 project, it kind of had to go to rings because that was literally the only prop that I could juggle without pain and without any fear of like career-ending injuries with like snapped tendons in my hand or whatever. So this has been my first injury which has like really impacted my juggling. Again, I've broken a rib, and you're like, well, it's during COVID time, I'm not juggling much anyway, or whatever, like you just like you sneeze a bit, but you can still get through like a show.
Yeah.
I've had that like really bad trapped nerves in my back, the sciatica, and I've had bad heels, but all of these things are like niggling things or small things or things that you can just push through. Whereas this really, it is one of those real injuries which I'm like, oh shit, this takes management. This is like the first injury that I've had to manage in a kind of like sports therapy kind of way to put it back. And
without
of course,
the sports therapist and doctors.
Yes, without going to the doctors, without going to the hospital, without going to a sports therapist, without having anything like that. Just kind of listening to my body and nursing it through myself.
I'm just not putting it out against my advice here, okay? This all happened without, like, I would have sent him to the doctors.
Yes.
Straight away.
Anything could have happened.
It's
so
all
the outcome.
Gonna heal.
So overall, I reckon on the course that I was over the summer with doing like almost daily training with 12 balls.
You were on a really good track.
I was on a really good streak. I felt like I was improving. I'd worked on it. I got lots of encouragement at the EJC, like talked to other numbers juggling, done training sessions with other people, saw other people doing it, like I say, all of that was there. And I felt really good with the rings. And I was like, and now that I'm going to start working on the 11 rings, the effort that I'm putting in, like the training that I'm doing to throw all 12, like 11 rings, it's like the same kind of pattern, synchronous, everything going up. All of that training is going to feed back into it. And I honestly, I think I would have got the 12 balls.
Right.
But again, it was just injury. It's sort of like, I thought I had until the rest of the year. And I was kind of, in the summer, I was planning on like, all right, now it's August. Then in September, I'll do this. And then in October and November, I'll get I'll be on to 11 rings and 12 rings.
And it seemed very sensible in the summer too.
Yeah. No, it felt like it was in reach. Like I was putting in the hard training.
Yeah.
And just an injury meant that it just wasn't possible.
Yeah.
And it took off. And again, that whole story that I've just told there is going to be very tricky to wrap into a 1-minute Instagram video.
Yes.
But I think it would be... I'll do it. But again, it's a little bit tricky to wrap it all up.
I think you should not concentrate on the injury. I think you should concentrate on how the Flash 30 project was so malleable. And so it fit with what you achieved. just not in the way that you originally planned. But still,
so
you still got it.
There's the journey. Oh, I'll get back to that in 1 second. I just want to mention one other physical thing in my body changing shape is that I started doing this training, and suddenly I was doing 8 club training, 10 ring training, and 12 ball training. Yeah. Also working on show stuff. Riding my bike more because I wanted to get work on cardio fitness as well. So I was doing, trying to get into that zone 2 kind of stuff. That really worked out well. And I just lost 5 kilograms.
Yeah.
And I got down to like 74. Like my average weight was about 80 to 81. And yeah, getting down to like 74.5 kilograms after like a few months of training. I was like, clothes didn't fit me anymore. I had to modify. I've got actually quite a bit of footage from this sort of like, as I was modifying these, as I was sewing the shorts to make it like when we went away over the summer. Yeah. I had shorts that fit me and other clothes that fit me.
Yep.
And so I got a little video of me like adjusting the shorts sort of like before and after, sort of like pulling the shorts away and showing that like, these shorts need to, these clothes need to be just smaller size. Juliana was like, when I hug you, there's nothing to hug anymore.
Well, it's suddenly like I almost like could
stabbing you with my hip bones.
My arms were like touching, and it's like
you were saying when you wrap your arms around me, it was like,
it's like, ooh, where is he gone?
So
numbers juggling can really help you with your
extra extra hours worth of concentrated cardio fitness work on bike and other stuff.
Yeah.
Plus proper like hours per week of numbers juggling training is a different kind of thing than like me liking going for bike rides but not using it as fitness training
and then doing your shows
and doing like running through show stuff. So yes, it takes, I knew it would take time and training, and that's what I said like right in the early videos, is that I want to train sensibly and work on fitness to be able to train more and work on like not doing it so much that I strain myself. So building up the endurance and building up the fitness and building
in
up
a
like sustainable
way. It makes sense.
Yeah, but also I didn't realize I've just got to eat a lot more as well. So now my weight has stabilized at around 77 to 78 kilograms, so a little bit less, but it just takes more eating. So I just wanted to take that little weight loss diversion. All right, so the overall outcome is I really enjoy numbers juggling with rings, and I've really enjoyed at the start of the year training with clubs. Yeah. And also because at one point I was like, I'm going to train 7 clubs now. So I took 7 clubs with me on a gig, and I was like, but now I've got 7 clubs. And I don't travel with 7 clubs anymore. I chucked it down to 6, but I was like, I've got 6 clubs with me. I'll do 6 clubs on stage. And now I'm closing my second show with 6 clubs. Like I put my club juggling to the end of the show. Yeah. So instead of finishing with like 3 knives on a roller bowler, which is a dumb fun end. It's a fun ending. But now I'm ending with like my club routine: 5 clubs, 5 club back crosses, 6 clubs. Although actually, in some cases, I do the back crosses in the big 3 thing. But yeah, the outcome is sort of like, I'll just do, and 6 clubs is such a much better way, like such a fun way, like standing ovation guaranteed way to end the show, rather than 3 knives on a roller bowler, which is dumb. Which is fun, but it's dumb. And I'm like, no, I'm finishing as a serious juggler here with a serious juggling routine, with serious skills and serious numbers juggling with clubs at the end. So that's just,
it gave you the confidence to
confidence
just do that again.
Alternatively, because I was doing all of my ring juggling training with these like fountain patterns, sync fountain patterns, my 7 rings just died a death because all of my ring juggling was with at the end was like with lighter weight rings, with in a fountain pattern. And I was getting to the end of my ring juggling part, and I was like, oh man, 7 rings. Like, just the pattern felt weird. And I was throwing up. It was okay. Like, I was getting through with it. And the way that I construct my show is that if I mess up, it's fine. We reset the music, and I always finish with the music anyway. And then I was like on this show on a narrow stage, and I was like, I don't feel like doing the 7 rings here. And so I did 6 rings instead. I was like, this is better. Yeah.
And nobody knows.
Nobody noticed it. I can do it way longer than 7 rings, way more. So normally with 7 rings, I would start it, and then I would do like 12 catches, and then I'd already be thinking about like finishing it up and getting it all here. With 6 rings, I can just start it, and I can just run it as long as I need to.
Amazing, yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's actually much better to have like a longer, easier run of. So now in my show, even though the stage is back to normal size and I could just do 7 rings,
you still do the 6.
And now the thing where I put the ring between my mouth and do the whole comedy stuff, now I do that with the 4 knives. So I was like, oh, I put the comedy back with the knife juggling at the end, where I want a fun comedy thing with the 4 knives before I do the 5 knives, and it's just the whole show is better.
It fits
because I was like, oh, actually, what I need to do here at the end of this is do something easy. And again, not to say that 7 rings was too difficult. It's sort of like, because I was training so much of a different technique with different rings, I got to the 7 rings and I was like, on this very narrow stage, I just don't want to bother.
And it was very narrow. Oh my God, was it narrow?
So yes, the outcome is really enjoying working on the ring juggling.
Yeah.
Very much enjoying working on some like more difficult technical stuff with clubs, and it kind of inspiring me to go back and like, oh, let's finish the show with 6 clubs, or the club routine with 6 clubs. So yeah, traveling with 6 clubs turns out not that much more difficult than traveling with 5 clubs.
Yeah,
and also, if I keep doing this, I'm actually going to I'm not going to take the roller bowler with me on this big long trip, because it's a lot of stuff to have in my, like a roller bowler and the tube and the board and the bass. You know, there's just a lot more going on there. So I think I don't need to take that with me. Although actually, no, I might take it, because I am away for 5 weeks, and Summit might come up where they're like, hey, do an extra show or something like that.
Like in an atrium or something.
Yeah. Although I do, if I swap the stuff around and I'm doing I'll still have the tennis balls and the ping pongs and stuff like that, which won't be in the show. Either way, I don't need to have a production meeting now. So the outcome of that has been really good fun. And of course, the final outcome is that I did flash 30 on video, which is the 8 clubs, which took me 28 minutes to get.
Yeah.
The 10 rings, which took me 2 sessions to get once I started trying it. Didn't manage to do 12 balls, but did get 11 balls on video.
Yep.
And I did do 11 balls a few other times, but
it was like you consistently drop 1 ball.
Yeah. No. And I'm not saying like, I caught 11 out of 12 balls, but I'm saying I also flashed 11 balls a few more times.
Yes.
But I don't think like videoed those. Either way, it doesn't matter, because it was just like, warming up stuff. Well, I'll be like, I flash 8 and then 9 and then 10 and then 11.
Yeah.
And when you get 11, you're like, I can do 12.
Just
and
do
then
12.
It turns out you can't do 12. So the outcome is, did flash 30. It was the wrong 30, but due to injury, the 12 balls just wasn't going to happen this year.
So it can just be the right 30.
Yes. Also, the 3D printing. Quickly talk about that. Really enjoyed that. However, I learned the hard lesson, which is every time I've seen someone in the past, like I watch lots of YouTube channels of people making stuff.
Yeah.
There's lots of people who 3D print stuff, and they always like do they do a big 3D print, and then it just doesn't work out, and they're like, oh, I'll just have to 3D print it again. And then I did that, and then I 3D printed this, and you just see people like failing, and I'm like, why don't you just do it right? This is my thought process all last year or previous years. Why don't you just get it right the first time and just make it work? And that's me coming into it from like when I make stuff out of like wood and metal and wire and cloth. If it doesn't go right the first time, you then update it or readjust it.
The thing itself. Yeah.
And with 3D printing, if it doesn't go right the first time, or if it breaks, it's like,
that's it.
Oh no, you have to reprint it. Like there is no update it for the next time.
I have seen you try that. It doesn't work.
There's a few things.
You've been like filing rings and like trying to chisel something.
So that was the 3D printing thing. Was sort of like, oh yeah, the way that it works is you just keep buying more filament, and you just got to make it and test it, and it fails.
I really wanted you to buy yourself or get yourself a filament recycling thing where you can just then take whatever colors.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. No, I wasn't kidding with that.
You know how much they cost?
I have no idea.
4,000 to 8,000 euros
it's just
each.
Heating up the thing.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It's you think it's going to be that, and then you actually look up how much it costs to get a recycler. It will take me 10, 15 years worth of 3D printing and all of the waste material, all those little bits and pieces that come out there. Maybe 15 years worth of 3D printing for it to be worth more to do that. Because then when you do it, you have to have a dehumidifying machine to all of those things. It's a crazy amount of technology.
All right. Well,
it is just part of the process, and you just get plastic waste. It is a pity.
Just take it down to the makerspace, and they might be able to do something with it. Anyway.
Or it goes into the trash. It just goes into the trash. Either way, so that's the hard lesson. The cool lesson, though, is to work out what are the limits of stuff that you can do 3D printing-wise with clubs, with the carbon clubs, which are the lightweight clubs, which I already had a plan to make. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get it, because playing with Killian's clubs, and you've seen 3D printing projects. Yeah. And I wanted to try out different handle shapes and different bodies and stuff. At the start, I was like, I'll 3D print the whole thing. And it turns out I don't need to 3D print the bodies. I've got lots of, plastic bodies. I've got loads of juggling clubs in the shed.
They work fine. Yeah, that's a perfect shape.
Like the bulb of the club is actually, that's solid. That's a solved problem. Yeah. You actually want it to be, inflated, molded, or injection molded, or whatever kind of stuff it is.
Yeah. Also because you figured out what the physics is of not just 3D printing something, but 3D printing something that folds and hits the floor often.
Yeah. But the knobs and the ends and the handles and the adapters are all good. The carbon fiber rods, the carbon fiber dowels is really good fun as well. Yeah. So I really enjoyed working on that to the point where, and this is another big good outcome, is that I made these carbon fiber clubs. Got so used to juggling them at that lightweight that I was like, and now I've got to get ready for a show. So I picked up my PX3 clubs again, and I was like, fuck these. These are like 230 grams each, and the clubs I was just juggling yesterday when I was trying numbers are 170 grams. So then I made myself a set of clubs and then decorated them in a way that I could see them because of the white clubs and stuff. Yeah. And so, yes, a fresh set of clubs. So now I have 4 sets of juggling clubs in this room within reach of my hand. Yeah, a set of unmodified PX3 clubs, which I don't actually juggle with anymore because they're just too heavy, but they're so new.
They're nice decoration.
I've got a set of numbers clubs with handles, with the hyperboloid handles. Yeah. Another set of training clubs with like more traditional size handles, but thinner, which is actually really good, and they're all much lighter. Yeah. And then another set exactly the same, but that's for performing. Yeah. So
and also if your clubs are lighter, and then you take a 6th one, you don't actually add that much more weight.
No, that's the whole point. That's why I was like, instead of taking 5 clubs, I'll take 6 clubs, because all I need to do is, if you reduce the weight of the club by 1/4 for each club that you reduce down, like for each,
you can take one extra.
One extra club. So you're like, I'm taking 4. If I'm taking 6 clubs, if I'm taking 5 clubs, and each one of them weighs 70 or like 50 grams less. That's easily is no more weight to take 6 clubs than 7 clubs. And also then training with them and fitting them less strain in the hand and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that I worked out is that the hyperboloid clubs are really cool. With the handles, with the numbers juggling handles, but then they're like the opposite of good for actually doing like back crosses, because you actually want the hands to slide down
for numbers juggling.
But it turns out what I really needed overall was like just thinner handles, and then just build up strength in my hands to be able to hold in clubs. But again, the training wheels, that's all what it was. I wanted to come up with ways of using technology and design to make training easier, which is why the ring holsters wasn't good for performing, was not aesthetically pleasing, broke a lot, but it was exactly what I needed to work out the throwing technique. So that's what that was the big wins for me with the 3D printers. Yeah. And now with the rings, it's taken a long time, but now I'm on version 5 of the 3D printed composite rings that I started making in the middle of the year, when I was like, right, if I'm going to do 11 rings, these 90 gram rings are too much. Let's get them down to 50 grams. Yeah. So I managed to work out a way of making 50 gram rings, and now I've made a set which haven't broken yet. After many hours of training with them, I'm like, everything so far has just been twisting and breaking and hitting and cracking and breaking.
Now you tweaked the design.
Enough. And here's the one big thing that I learned, which is very annoying, is that if you make something and it's not quite right, you don't know until you've made Either a set of 8
of
clubs,
course.
or of 10 rings, or 11 rings, or 12 rings, or 12 balls.
Yes.
Or numbery stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that it comes down to.
You can't just try the thing with 3 because you don't put that much force and effort into it.
Yes.
As you do with 11.
Yeah. So and also just holding them and throwing them, and I'm like, this is going to work. And I was like, but you only printed 6 to test with in one hand. Yeah. And actually what you needed to do is test out what it felt like to do it in both hands at once. And you're like, actually, I thought I could get away with 70-gram rings to make them eat.
You have to make the whole set.
So yes, loved working on the rings. Although, again, it's annoying to have to make 12 of them at a time until you know the technique works.
Still 2 in the making.
Yeah, there's still 2 over there. I ran out of glue, so gluing them together is good. So yes, also the new techniques. I really enjoyed the club juggling, the new club juggling stuff that I was working on, and also the new technique. It's more like wrist-based throwing with the rings.
Yeah.
Instead of moving my whole arm up and down, I'm trying to use as little as possible. But but by the time you get to 12 rings, you're like, no, you just need. You can't just do full wrist stuff. Like with 10 rings, yes, I can still do it mostly with the wrist. 9 rings and 10 rings mostly with the wrist, and I get to 12 rings, those just have to be so big. It's like, oh no, I'm still doing the bending legs, putting the full effort into it. But I want to get the energy down and down and down and down. That's mostly what I'm working with now with 12 rings. It's just trying not to throw too high and just try and reduce.
You want to get to the sweet spot.
The sweet spot
of the height.
But then it does take a little bit more time unless they're all perfect.
Yeah.
If they're more spread out in the air, you've got more time to do more catches.
Yes.
Whereas if they're tighter together in the air,
it's a bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
Like if you hit the sweet spot of the height and then it being really clean, you'll get it.
Oh yeah.
Like
and that's what I'm doing. It's sort of like, well, what's the balance there? On the last 2 cruises, one, the ceiling in the theatre was a bit too low, which I found out by hitting myself in the face. Yep. And then in the previous one, I did do quite a bit of 12 rings, but I was, I was doing a crossing, so there's lots of sea days, which meant that I didn't have a lot of time because there was always stuff going on in the theatre.
Yep.
There was a new cast coming in, and they were working the theatre a lot with their singing, dancing shows, so I didn't get a huge amount of time, but I did put in a few hours worth of trying 12 rings. But like I say, I got this 5 weeks on the road, 5 weeks of traveling, just me by myself without Juliana. So hopefully we'll be able to work. Well, I would definitely work on 12 rings a bit more, especially now that I'm gonna have a set of matching set to which all hopefully won't break.
Great.
Yeah, and then the new ring holster with the clips, also lots of fun. So that's what I wanted to talk about with the reinventing props. Really good. I put a note here saying regrets ?
Of the whole project.
Yeah, but I don't really have any regrets. I don't think I've got any regrets, except that I just regret injuring myself because it felt like I was really close with the one. I felt like, I'll just get across the line. Yeah. I'll just push across the line. But then it's sort of like, nope, you're not going to try this for another 4 weeks. Yeah. And now, so let's get on to what's this note here? Rings as procrastinal working. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's while I'm not quite getting the balls, the rings, it feels like I'm making progress. Like, oh no, I'm making progress with the 12 balls because all the training that I'm putting into the rings is going to help me with the 12 balls. It's like, but are you working on the 12 balls? No, but it feels like I'm keeping the fitness up that I need to work on the 12 balls by working on the 11 rings and the 10 rings and getting the 10 rings better and stuff like that. So
makes sense. That's
it. So the outcome is, of all of this, by just working on this project, it turns out by the end of the year, if I flash 12 rings in the next month, I will win the ring juggling section of the numbers juggling league on jugglingrecords.com.
Yeah.
I'm currently in 3rd place, but just like a few points behind 1st and 2nd.
Okay.
But I'm the only one who's done 11 rings in the numbers league. Again, there's only like 10, 15 people taking part in the ring section. But yes, I could get the ring thing, and if I put the other results in, maybe I could do well in the overall. But other people are just much better at that than me, and I just haven't put the effort into.
And they really
7
dedicate
clubs.
like everything to that.
Yeah, like I haven't worked on 6 clubs at all.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, hey, upload a video of you doing 6 clubs, I was like, well, I did 11. No, what did I do? So 7. So I did 9 catches in the show.
That's nothing.
And so I'd upload a video of me getting 9 catches in the show and be like, that's honestly, that's the highest amount of catches I've done with 6 clubs this year.
Yeah, but that's nothing in comparison to what other people do.
Yeah, other people are like doing it for a minute and a half or whatever, maybe not that long. So so that's it. That's the outcome.
The project was in the end a success.
I would say a massive success for me.
Especially in the way you set it up for yourself, because it did encounter for this kind of scenario. It did allow this kind of stuff to
it was
happen,
flexible,
and it still being a success after all.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cute how this under the video where you got the 11 rings, somebody actually said that.
What's that?
Like they said. Oh, does that mean you did get the project?
And that's why I made another video. Sort of like, yes, I have flashed 30 with 11 rings and 11 balls and 8 clubs. It's the wrong 30.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Always comes back now to this 12 ball demotivation that I'm having to construct reasons to do it.
Yeah.
Like everything else is just intrinsically fun and entertaining and challenging, and I like doing it because again, it's always for the first time.
Yeah, because
like,
you're going forward.
Yeah, I'm improving all the time, and I'm like making steps along the way. And 12 balls is like, nope, just keep working on it, and you'll get lucky one day and catch them all. And I was like, yeah, but I did that in 2003, and you're like, well, now here we are, 22 years later, keep trying. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of boring. And then I'm like, but 8 clubs, I could work on a new handle shape. And then I'm like, I want to do 8 clubs. I did it in a fountain, but can I do it in the half shower kind of stuff? You know, I'm like, oh, half club. That's like a new pattern that I could do. But like, as soon as I do 12 balls for the first time, I'm like, that's it. Never trying it ever again.
Yeah, I understand. So I have one more thing that I'd like to add. The way you started this series with the Flash 30, you had a very strong thumbnail to the video on your Instagram. And I think just for aesthetic reasons.
This one?
Yeah. I think you should...
it was too annoying. I couldn't work it. Because I was like... Because at the end of all of them, I would be like, and then I'm going to do 8 clubs and 10 rings and 12 balls. I'm going to flash 30. You know, I did that for the first few.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'm sick of that now.
Yeah, I understand. I just want to say for finishing up the Instagram video journey, I think you should start it off the same way and then
I can just put a video,
cross it out, and then adjust it.
Well, I can just change the numbers. It says 8 clubs, 10 rings, 12 balls. I can just change it to 8 clubs, 11 rings, 11 balls, and be like, ta-da!
That's it. Yay!
I'm going to rewrite history.
That's good.
That's
perfectly fine.
So here's the thing. Going back to the meta thing, I just wanted to mention, you're rolling your eyes, but you said 45 minutes. You knew this wasn't going to be a 45-minute episode.
Yes.
You knew it when you said, let's do it all in 45 minutes.
It's 10:30.
2 more points.
Okay.
One is that this has taken so much energy that I haven't been able to put energy into working on new show things. Like new things for I haven't worked on a new juggling routine this year. Okay. And normally I'll be working on something. You know, I've improved stuff. I've reshaped my show for different reasons. But so I haven't done that. And also, I've had loads of ideas, and I've still got like folders worth of video stuff that I wanted to edit together for YouTube, which has got nothing to do with this.
No.
But then I was like, well, then I'm going to work on the... on the Your Time to Shine, and then the Fight Night Combat, and then all these other kind of stuff.
Top 40's coming up again.
And but I put so much energy into learning about Instagram Reels, edited Reels.
Yeah.
That all of the stuff that I would do on YouTube, I haven't worked on.
Yeah.
And I have them there. I've got literally folders worth of videos of like, this is going to be the ball juggling thing. Like last year I did best club juggling, or like favorite 20 years of club juggling videos. And I was going to do like the same thing with balls, and then ball shows, and then this ideas of like this other videos and a video essay and the emoji thing and these tier lists that I wanted to do. You know,
you have them all it's constantly
and they're there, and I just haven't been able to work on them. So here's the thing for next year.
Yeah.
No more year-long one project takes everything in my head.
Okay.
Because what I want to do...
Diversification.
I just want to work on something. I'm going to keep working on the numbers juggling.
Yeah.
Like to improve on that, or to get 10 rings more consistent. But I want to do that without constantly videoing myself, and without constantly, once I've videoed myself, going, I now need to edit that into, because each time I do this, it's sort of like 3 or 4 hours worth of work to like edit it together and put it all together. Maybe not that. Sometimes it comes together really quickly, but then I've got to record the voiceover and then, do the titles and then make sure all the titles are good. And I'm looking back through over and over to make sure all the titles, the words that are there are correct. And then I've got to upload it to Instagram. And I was like, actually what I'd like to do is just do the juggling part and not have to document it all the time.
Yeah, makes sense.
So what I want to do next year is to be a bit more focused. Instead of doing like, what did I say
57.
here? 57 videos on this project, Plus, I've got other videos, like I say, the Brun Finish one, I've put out performance ones, fight night ones, travel ones, all of these different kind of stuff. So I've probably uploaded over 120 clips, so maybe over 100 clips to Instagram. So that's probably 2 a week of well-edited storytelling, bits and pieces with titles and short things with putting the music in place, all that kind of stuff, plus other bits and pieces. Plus, I was like, I just want to get some balance back, that juggling doesn't always have to be for Instagram, and it doesn't have to be part of a big project. And also, I just want to work on some live stuff again, and I want to work on some music stuff again without it all being documented for Instagram. This was the point of this year-long project of working on an Instagram challenge kind of thing. And so for next year, any plan that I have, it won't be, it's been 5 days since I put out a Flash 30 video clip. What's the next bit of storytelling?
The algorithm wants more food.
Well, again, I was never doing this for the algorithm. I was always doing it for the audience and as a project.
Yeah.
But yes, sort of like I want a project which doesn't need, weekly feeding of Instagram video content.
Makes sense.
So that's one thing that I'd like to do. Again, no regrets about doing this. I learned a lot, had a lot of fun with it. I think I've got a lot better at short form video stuff. But again, it is a lot of work to focus on one project.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
It won't be this, no matter what I do next year, there won't be a single long running video, because I'd like, let's just do the videos for YouTube and then maybe do a 1 minute version for Instagram.
Yeah.
I want to do a bit more of it that way round.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's it. I want to do more stuff with 3D printing, which isn't to do with like just printing out yet another set of rings.
Yeah.
I want to show some of the prop designs that I've done otherwise, other bits and pieces.
Yeah, cool.
So that's it. So that's for next year. A numbers juggling plan for next year. There's not really anywhere to go except, can I tick off 12 balls? I'm not going to take 12 balls with me on these next lots of gigs, because I know that I'm not going to enjoy practicing it.
Yeah.
What I want to do is I'm going to leave 12 balls until like April, May, June, July next year, where I can just put it into my slot and I can go out and just do some outdoor training. Because when I go out to train the 12 balls, I'm not doing lots of other juggling. Like I'm not working on other stuff.
It's very concentrated.
It's very concentrated. Yeah. I put in, blast out 30 minutes worth of juggling, and then I'm like, that's it for the day. And if I got it, I didn't get it. So it'll just be like a much more structured way of just working on 12 balls.
Makes sense.
And I think I'll definitely be able to get it next year. But again, my hand has to be 100% better. I mean, it's like 95% better now.
Yeah.
So I
but
can
you
move
still
it.
have to film yourself then every time.
Well, again, but the point is I can film myself and then I don't have to share any of it. I can just delete all the footage.
Yes.
And that's been so freeing once I've actually done it. I'm like, I've done 10 rings so many times that like as soon as you get to 10 rings, like, I don't need to keep filming myself. I can just train 10 rings without filming myself.
Very
it's
handy.
so freeing.
Yes.
Until I'm like, can I do it twice in a row? And then I'm like, now I'm filming myself a lot. So there is all of that. So numbers juggling wise, 12 balls, but I'm going to put it off until the spring.
Yeah.
Not going to work on it. I'm not going to let it I'm not going to have that set of 12 balls just sitting in my bag the whole time for a whole year. I'm going to put that aside.
Yeah.
12 rings. Hopefully can get it by the end of this year.
Okay.
Then next year I want to enter and win the ring segment of the numbers juggling league at the EJC next year.
Okay.
And I think I could probably win by being able to do 10 rings better and quicker than anybody else, 9 rings better and quicker than anybody else, and attempt 11 rings.
Okay.
So I want to get my ring juggling to the point where, like, when I entered the numbers juggling league and I did 10 balls, a 10 ball flash within 2 minutes at the BJC a few years ago. I did it well. I was standing next to Simeon, and he was doing
the live competition.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The numbers juggling.
Yeah, I'm talking about
online.
the EJC live numbers juggling league live.
Okay.
I want to train with the rings to be able to win that competition next year. Theoretically. Again, maybe I won't do it, maybe I won't enter it, maybe I won't win, but I want to get it consistent enough that I know I can definitely do 10 rings easily within 2 or 3 attempts, so I can definitely do it within 2 minutes.
Cool.
And then aim for more catches
goal.
or whatever. And then with clubs, maybe 9 clubs. But only because
9 clubs is so hard. You have 5 clubs in one hand.
I know. But I showed you that video of the Velcro thing that I made.
Yeah, the Velcro. More engineering to make it work.
I'm going to engineer myself to be the best numbers juggling. I say the best numbers juggling. Here's the thing. Ivan is like, well, if you do 12 rings, you've already done 12 balls. All you need is the 9 clubs, and you're already at 33. And I'm like, yeah, like, technically, yeah. And then I'm like, what, like, if I've done 12 balls, if I get 12 balls next year and hopefully get 12 rings by the end of this year or in this next work trip that I do, which is totally possible.
Yeah.
Because I will have time to do it and I have motivation
you have the 12
to do
rings.
it. And I've got the 12 rings and I'm ready to go and it's the one thing I'll be working on except for training for my show. Like, yeah, 9 clubs would be, again, it would take a lot because I'd have to take 9 clubs to a training session and working that. But here's the thing, I could work on it, and if I do 12 rings and 12 balls, I'm just going to have to try and match Ivan and go for the 9 clubs. Like, why wouldn't I then? I'd be the second person in the world to ever get the overall, lead of numbers juggling records of 33 props.
Yeah.
It would be Ivan and then me, and all it would take from me is just to actually put the effort in.
Yes.
I just actually have to try the 9 clubs. I mean, I might not get it.
And the 12 rings.
But here's the thing.
The 12 balls.
Well, I've done 12. Yeah, I'd have to get 12 balls on video because otherwise it's not like, oh, believe me, guys, I did it 25 years ago. Either way, so that would be it. That would be my numbers juggling thing.
Cool.
Keep improving with the 12 rings.
Yeah.
Or get the 12 rings. Keep improving with the 10 rings. Get 12 balls next summer or spring and summer. And then, the only place to go with clubs that interests me at all would be to get 9 clubs. Because I'm not interested in endurance with 6 or 7 or 8. Like, I just, like, zero interest in, like, getting any records in that way.
This feels like, to me, like the easier way of racking up points in the numbers juggling league.
What, is to go for higher, is the endurance?
Yeah.
No, because other people are better
6.
in endurance.
Yeah, but it's easier than getting 9 clubs.
We're going to wrap up the podcast now, okay?
Yes,
because your eyes are falling asleep, and I said we were going to be 45 minutes, and we've done 30 minutes beyond 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
So, anything else you want to say? Any last questions?
We're going to wrap up this, and if I now start more questions, it's going to go another 15 minutes.
Let's put it this way, have you enjoyed following along my Flash 30 journey?
Yeah, absolutely, because I think it was such a well-balanced idea. And so thoughtful and so thought through. It wasn't just, let me just get something stupid. Like, let's set myself a stupid goal, which is
an arbitrary goal.
Like arbitrary goal.
Well, it was arbitrary, but
yeah, but in a sensible way and malleable. And it was like adjusted to how life actually is, and I think that that made it really approachable in the way that we all have these kind of goals that we set ourselves, and it kind of teaches you the lesson of, if I actually make the goal in a way that if life happens, it can still happen, and I still succeed. So I think I really enjoyed following along.
Good. Well, I'm glad you really enjoyed following along, because I really enjoyed doing it.
Good.
It's been, again, a big thing. Also, like I say, weirdly life-changing in terms of nothing in my life has changed, but like I feel better about stuff. Be kind of like, prove to myself I can do it. All right, I did it. I was like, great. I have proved to myself. I have proved to myself that I can still do it.
Nice.
Except the 12 balls, which I proved to myself it's still the hardest thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
And that I need the body of a 23-year-old again to be able to do it. Who knows? So yeah, I really fun. Yeah, and also the video project side of it and the life, the training stuff is good. So let's
done.
That's it. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks to all the Patreon supporters again. Thanks to everyone who's not a supporter on Patreon, who's just followed along with the journey.
Yeah.
Again, the big plan now is to wrap up this 1 hour, 17-minute podcast into a single 1-minute Instagram post.
Yeah, but now you're really good at it.
To wrap it up. And that's the big challenge. So that's it from us. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.